Was it the Bill? Yeah. Yeah. He joined the police because apparently the idea was that he thought, the next best thing to the army is the police force. And he wanted to sort of recapture the camaraderie that he had with the army, but found out police isn't quite the same as the army.
Okay.
So he's a bit disappointed, really. He didn't really make any friends during the police force, and apparently when he was off duty, he was just left on his own.
That's a little bit sad, actually, to be fair.
It is, but
at the moment, I am actually feeling a little bit sorry for him.
Yeah, but okay. Do you want to be friends with the guy who dresses up like a dead person and wanks himself off in the mirror?
I wouldn't know that, though.
Probably not.
But I wouldn't know it.
No, but surely a little bit of that kookiness has got to come through in his day-to-day life, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. I feel bad describing dressing up as a dead person and wanking in the mirror as kooky. I think it feels like an understatement a little bit.
Just a tad.
Yeah. While in the police, though, he says that one of the things he does remember was that he was able to see autopsied bodies in the morgue.
Oh, dear.
Which he was quite fascinated about. Didn't do anything with them, though, thank fuck. Yeah, so because he couldn't make any friends, after just 1 year, he left the police, and when he went to the job centre to sign on, surprisingly, the job centre actually offered him a position, which is really weird. Like, normally that would not happen. That's quite a fortunate thing. And especially a position in the English civil service, which... Okay. I know nowadays civil servants aren't really held to that much of a high regard.
Back in the day, though, I'm pretty sure it was like pretty...
That was a good paying... I mean, my mum was a civil servant, and even the time she was there, it was like a good job. But so even, a few years prior to that, that was a good job to have. And especially when you just walk into the jobby, and I shouldn't use the word jobby. That sounds like I'm talking like about a poop. So yeah, when you walking into job centre and getting given a job like civil servant was pretty rare. But he had some good credentials, obviously being in the army and the police force. While at the civil service, he met a young man called David Painter. Apparently the two worked together and they bumped into each other while they were out and about, and they went back to Dennis's flat where the two went to bed together. Okay. Now, this is where things start to get a little creepier. According to David, he woke up in the middle of the night to see Dennis taking pictures of him while he was sleeping, which is very spooky. Apparently, they got in a big fight. And he hurt himself and he had to be taken to the hospital. Dennis was questioned by the police, but he was released. The police in this story, there's an interesting sort of back and forth with how things are dealt with in this story.
Is that because he was in the police himself, or...?
No, actually. Okay. I'm guessing, and a lot of people surmise on this, is because, the way the police would deal with gay people back in the day.
Yeah. They
really didn't seem to care too much. They do some good, and they do some shitty work in this as well, but they do some good work too. So yeah, this weird thing happens. He goes to the police and gets released. And around this time, Dennis becomes a regular in the London gay bars. His favourites include King William IX, the Collern, the Golden Lion, the Black Cap, the Salisbury, and the Cricklewood Arms. Not being from London, don't know if any of them still exist.
I'm presuming the Golden Lion still exists.
Why that one?
Because I'm pretty sure there's like the red lions, there's gold lions. I'm pretty sure I've seen a white lion as well.
Oh, every town in England seems to have a red lion pub. Yeah. Like literally everyone.
I think they are all linked. I don't know.
I don't know. It'd be interesting if anyone is listening to this podcast, and if you are from down south, let us know which of these particular places is still open, and if you have been to one of them. So Dennis was essentially, at this point, what we would probably refer to as a scene queen. he was yalsing all over the place at this point in time.
Okay.
Playing the field of dicks is that's.
I don't think I've ever heard that phrase.
Playing the field of
before.
dicks. Never.
Yeah,
When
no.
people say you playing the field.
Ah.
Playing the field. When people go, oh, you're playing the field, are you? You're going out in town playing the field.
All right, okay, yeah.
I just added the field of dicks, to be honest. 'Cause, yeah, he was. I've added a note here, which is really weird. It's got he was looking shy in tighty whities and a vest, having dudes take photos of him. Which actually, we did take a small break a minute ago, and I was able to get the photos up on the computer. I'm assuming my little note about that links to this weird photo, which is him in tighty whities and a vest with some I think they look like Reebok Classics or something.
Reeboks.
Yeah, he's just like feet on one chair, lying on the other, hands behind his back. Very weird position. Again, guys, what I'll probably do is if you go to our Facebook page, which I'll put the link to in the show notes for this podcast. If you look on our Facebook page, I'll probably put all the photographs which we're going to be referencing onto there, so you can have a quick looky-loo yourself. Exactly, this fantastic specimen of a man. He's very, very sort of Mr. Bean's sexual predator looking, isn't he?
That's who reminds me of Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, sexual
Mr.
predator.
Bean.
So yeah, while he was doing all that, one night when he was out being fierce and freaky, he met a man called David Garlican. And this guy was, again, one of the emotional breakthroughs for him. David was a relatively normal guy. He didn't share the same interests as Dennis, so he wasn't into sort of masturbating in a mirror. He wasn't interested in dead bodies or anything like that.
Just the average Joe sort of thing.
Yeah, just a normal, everyday guy. Now, some sources in this say that they were a couple, so that Dennis and David were actually together. But also, about the same amount of sources say that David was not in a sexual relationship with this guy. Again, I am going to say that from my opinion only, not fact, I am going to say that they were together.
Okay.
Because, you know those home movies I said before that he made?
Oh no.
He does make them with David, and the relationship is, well, it's very cozy.
Okay.
Very cozy. I'm not saying that two guys can't live together and be very friendly, but
how friendly are you actually?
the signals
going
are just
with
there.
this?
Just, you know, it's just I'll tell you some things now, and also, you know, Google these home videos, and you can make your own decision. But for the purposes of this, you know, the fact that I think this David guy denied the sexual relationship, we can just say that they weren't together for this.
Okay.
The two did buy a dog together, though, and they did move into a home together.
Okay.
The home would soon become possibly next to sort of Myra Hindley's house. Second to that, maybe this place would become the most notorious property in the whole of the UK.
Right.
And that property was 195 Melrose Avenue, a property which still stands there today. And it does occasionally come up in the newspapers still.
Why?
Well, the thing, when this house goes up for sale, the newspapers seem to make a huge deal of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the home, it looks really, really nice now. Do you want me to show you a picture? Again, guys, if you want to see these pictures, go to our Facebook page. Facebook wouldn't let me put the word murder in the link, so it's MRDR Land, Adventures in MRDR Land. So this is the home. I'm just showing you now, Alan. This is the home as it was.
This back in the day?
This was back in fit day. So it looks very average.
It's a townhouse, then, I guess.
Townhouse, upstairs, downstairs. Very average looking house, but it looks amazing now. Have you seen this? That little image?
Ooh.
See? And if I can...
Really? I bet you're going to get that super cheap.
Well, that's the thing. It goes up... It's cheaper than most of the houses in the area, but
I'm guessing because it's in the south as well, it'll be a little bit more expensive than up north.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, a house like that up here, what are you talking, like 250, 250,
so, yeah.
I think the last time it went up, it's going for about 500,000, which is quite a lot of money. But yeah, every time it goes up for sale, the newspapers do make a huge hoo-ha over it. It's like, you know, who wants to live in a house like this? Which I will... It's probably not the way to go. Through the keyhole. Through the keyhole, Dennis Nilsen special. Not ever going to happen, I wouldn't imagine. Who lives in a house like this? Fucking blood everywhere. And towards the end of this story, I want you to decide whether or not you would still live in that house, okay? You don't even know what's happened yet, so you can't even make that decision. You don't even know yet. So, yeah, the two of them moved into 195 Melrose Avenue. They had the dog named Bleep, which...
Are you bleeping out a word, though, or is it actually just called Bleep?
No, the dog's called Bleep. Apparently, and this is a weird... see, there's Bleep there. Quite a cute little dog.
Why does it look stuffed?
Like taxidermy.
Yeah?
I think that's just the picture. Apparently the dog was super, super cute. I'll tell you something about that dog later on.
It doesn't look alive there.
No, it is. In that picture, it's very much alive. Yeah, I mean, clearly, if, you know, time happens and dogs die, but yeah, his name was Bleep, and apparently he was called Bleep because when they went to the dog kennel place, the lock on the door went bleep. Not a creative name. No, it's not a very creative name, but it's kind of cute for a dog. It's better than when people call dogs like human names, like Karen. You would never call a dog Karen, right? Well, maybe
I might just get a dog and just call it Karen just for the sake of it now.
Karen.
Open it with your back door. Karen,
come in. So yeah, the dog, the Bleep. So yeah, the two got the dog called Bleep, and apparently they also enjoyed tending the garden together. Dennis would later...
quaint.
It sounds really cute. I mean, apart from the, the masturbating in the mirror dressed as a dead person, it's all sounding quite cute up until now. And Dennis would also like to tend the garden later. That's a little foreshadowing for you. David did slowly begin to lose interest in Dennis. They were together about 2 years, and after a while, the relationship began to crumble, and they both began bringing home other men. Polyamorous? No. They just didn't like each other.
Oh. Well, that's mean in both accounts.
It's a little bit bitter and a little bit childish, and it's just like, but yeah, if that was the arrangement between the two, then fine, do whatever the fuck you want. Dennis, and I think this is probably a little bit of bitterness as well. Like, he brought a woman home at one point, which is really weird. Because Dennis was, everything up until now has shown that he has been a homosexual chap. But He did later say that the experience, these are his words,